So, okay, it is 12:34. We are going to begin in the essence of time. Again, I have everybody muted at the moment. We're going to attempt to keep that, one person unmute, protocols and etiquette so that we can all hear and best benefit from this session. So welcome to our first official AMA Ask Me Anything session with Tech Services. That is IT and customer care, who you see in front of you. So it is a mix. They will introduce themselves in a minute. We have three different groups really meeting with us today. We have the NOC, we have the SOC, and we have the CCC. Welcome to acronyms galore. And they will all describe themselves as they introduce themselves. So with that, I am going to pass it over to the NOC to define what that means and who you are. Go ahead.
All right, hi, I'm Nick Versii. I work in the Nassau BOCES Network Operations Center. We basically house all of the servers, virtual and physical. Most of them are virtual. There's about 500 virtual servers that host everything that Nassau BOCES offers to the school districts. We also have an Microsoft Azure server environment that we maintain and manage, and everyone in the Nassau BOCES employee world connects to that as far as where your Intune workstations are connected to, and your accounts for your Office 365 and all of those accounts. I guess I could pass it over to the SOC with Chris Wolf.
As Nick introduced me, Chris Wolf, part of the Security Operations Center here at BOCES. So similar to what the NOC does, we just take the security aspect of all of that and take that into account for incident response and preventative measures to help keep everything here at BOCES and our component district secure. With me is Mark. He's also part of my team. Just here.
Yeah. And I'm JJ, or Constant John, and I work in customer care. Sean and I kind of oversee the operations of the team. What we do is mostly like first line kind of response to your phone calls, emails, those kinds of things. They come to us. We assess the problem, try to resolve it if we can at our level, and if we can't, we turn it over to the NOC and the SOC and take it over from there.
We definitely need some sort of acronym or logo, not acronym, but logo for the NOC and the SOC. I mean, that could be really special.
And our people person is James Wu. He deals with pretty much everyone at Nassau BOCES.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully, everybody knows me by now already. I work with Nick and a NOC, so I support everybody throughout the BOCES.
Everybody knows James.
Yeah.
Everybody knows James.
And Sean.
Yes, so I'm Sean. I work in customer care with JJ. We're the ones that get all your phone calls, emails, and we do our best to help you guys without passing it along to the NOC or the SOC. Say that
Yep.
times.
So with this team, without this team, not much will go on here at Nassau BOCES. So we thank you all so much because we need you. We need your services and your support. So thank you. We are going to kind of open up the floor because that's mainly what this session is really to be an Ask Me Anything. So if you would like to ask a question, just raise your hand using the raise hand feature in Microsoft Teams, and we will start to just call on you in the order that you have raised your hand. If you don't raise your hand, then we will proceed with some of the things that we have on the agenda to discuss. But again, this session was really made to be interactive and engaging, and really your opportunity as the end users to really interact with the amazing tech services team.
I have a question that I get. Aside, by the way, ask questions because, decide the way they look. They're actually pretty friendly. So a lot of users end up getting, and this might be just general good practice for people to know, because a lot of people that I encounter at Faber, they say, well, I'm not getting emails from so-and-so, and then I have to contact to get them unblocked, or it's stuck in quarantine and I kind of don't see it. So what's a good practice for general staff if they are hearing from people that they're sending emails, but they're not receiving them?
I mean, yeah, I'll answer that one. So we try to kind of walk a fine line with filtering out emails between, convenience and necessity for, business continuity for you guys of receiving them, and then also actually blocking stuff that's malicious. So we do block a list of attachment types. Majority of them consist of the attachments being executable in nature, containing macros, or having some type of file extension included that we've seen used for malicious purposes in the past. So if you guys, I think that Cliff kind of started off perfectly. If you guys can actually verify from the vendor or whoever you're speaking with that they did indeed send you something, and you guys are, check your own quarantine first and see that you guys haven't received what you're looking for, then definitely proceed with contacting customer care center, and they'll do the preliminary search on that matter. And if there's still something going on, or they can't figure out where, if it's getting caught somewhere or what's happening, then they usually reach back to us at the SOC, and we'll kind of dig into it a little bit further. All of that kind of goes hand in hand with like anything that's just text related in an email, usually shouldn't be getting blocked to you guys. We've seen more so like the attachments, like Cliff said. And so just, be aware, I know Teresa made a video that's accessible for you guys to watch. Be aware that if you're dealing with a live person on the other end of the email, not an automated system, feel free to request a get file from them using your OneDrive. And you can have that file that you're trying to get dumped directly into your OneDrive. If it's like an automated system, like we've seen Apple, they just have AI on the other end, then that's something that you probably have to contact customer care and try to, and we'll try to get that result for you and make sure that you get that, that communication.
Thanks, Mark, for answering that question. In the chat, I put my link to my best practices page on the website, but also specifically that video that would give you the direct answer to Cliff's question that he gets asked a lot. So hopefully that will also help with that.
Sure.
Cliff, did you have any more to add to that?
Not at all. And there's another question, Jonathan Thompson.
Hey, how are you? You've probably gotten plenty of emails from me. I was just wondering that, like, how can we help you in customer care? Because I wanted to come up with some new guidelines for the building about, kind of first steps people should take. Not only contacting me, but also calling you guys, a lot of times.
Yeah,
as you know,
I'm still going over there for something, so I'll be over there. Hello.
So a lot of times, people call, and I know that, they're having a sound issue, and it's really not, it's just a wire got unplugged or stuff like that, or they're having problems with, a document and so forth. So, like, is there a way we could maybe, like, work a little together to come up with guidelines, like first use your building person for this before, you're getting flooded with phone calls that, that are, probably could be solved right at the building level by someone like me or anyone else. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
That's probably, I was gonna say, maybe that's a question for JJ and Sean, like,
Yeah,
or even Nick too.
just try to help you guys out so you're not getting, because I know sometimes I'll tell people, please don't call, please, because like they're saying they have a problem with a computer and it's a laptop. They don't even have the laptop in front of them. They don't have anything. I'm like, please don't, you're gonna waste your phone call. So stuff like that, maybe some things I could help at the building level to just tell people, like, okay, let's try these steps first before you pick up the phone and your
I think by now everybody really pretty much knows the pull the plug method, right? Shut it off and turn it back on. So if that doesn't work,
Johnson, I always recommend to people, it's like, if any issues, first you should, do the trick, like what we tell people always, power off the computer, Either, power off the switch, or power strip, restart your computer before you contact anybody.
Yeah.
That's the first rule, Even many years ago, I told customer care, if the people don't reboot their computer, don't even bother calling me,
Yeah. No, I was laughing, but that really is like.
Right.
Step one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a genius. So many problems I fixed by doing that, and people think I'm so smart.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just
it's
unplug
really,
it and
Just gave away the secret,
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away. They're like, it's too complex. Don't worry, I don't want to let you in.
There's that, and then and when you do call, I think the most information that you can provide to these guys, the better, because we've had tickets come in where it's missing certain things, like whether it's the user you're dealing with or the user you're trying to, like, Cliff was asking about with the emails, like we need the person that you're trying to get it from, or we need the workstation name,
Contact number.
contact phone numbers. Yeah, like
Exact URLs to
Yeah.
websites that are not
Right.
working.
Yeah, the more accurate information, the better. We'll always take more.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
another thing, try to educate, the end users. Don't be says, my computer don't turn on, you gotta
Yeah.
give more detail.
Right.
So, they said, why turn on? What happened? I get blue screen or, any messages that help customer care to troubleshoot,
Okay, because we have, I know Matt Witcherby set up a form and some people fill out that, but a lot of times I just tell people, like, I'll fill it out because I know they're not going to give enough information. They'll kind of leave things out and then you wind up emailing me or someone else anyway for it. So, all right, I will, because I'm going to come up with new guidelines for the building. So just to try to, some first steps before people call. And
Yeah,
then
and I
the
think
other one is, oh, go ahead.
Jonathan, if I understood you correctly, I think, they're giving you some tips. I think your question was more, how can you prevent, for lack of a better word, staff from going to customer care first prior to trying to seek resolution in the building?
Okay.
Was that your
That's
question?
my question. Yeah, any tips? Like,
So-
and I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, so really it would be building protocol, right? We don't set or dictate, procedures at the building level, right? Customer care is a resource for anyone in the organization to call and get resolution to their issues. But it's really a building protocol type of thing and how you communicate in the building and what you want the staff to do from a step 1, step 2, step 3 type of thing before potentially it would go to customer care.
I would also piggyback off what James and Nick were saying, but obviously step 1 is definitely a restart. Jonathan, I would also say step 2, and coming from a very familiar place where you were at, I would always say to people, have you checked the plugs? Is it plugged in properly? Before you tell me you have no audio or no video, that's usually a big one. Sometimes just a tiny little movement of a wire can loosen something and lose connection. So a lot of times that would solve an enormous
And
amount.
also to add to that, I'd say if it's browser related, like if it's internet related, and it's a login thing, like make sure everybody knows about like incognito or in private browsing, because essentially you're just taking a browser without any cache data or history and seeing if the website works there. Sometimes it's something silly like just clearing history when it's, a lot of these low level calls are things like this that, a more tech savvy person would have tried before asking.
And I just like to piggyback off of what Nick is saying in terms of browser stuff. Like we have actively been attempting to try to block a lot of, I would say, free VPNs. Some of that is included with like what you get in iCloud. And so because of some of those policies that we put in place, that creates blocks that we've seen either generate incidents on our end or tickets for customer care to resolve connection issues. So just a big piece that we've been trying to say going forward now is if you're accessing any type of BOCES resource, whether that's interactive sign-in online or on your machine, please turn off the VPN that you guys are using or the proxy or the Tor browser, anything you're using to try to mask your IP or your location. And you may inadvertently have that on and not know about it because a lot of it gets set by default. But just turn that stuff off because that also creates a lot of problems based off of what Nick was saying, like any type of issues, maybe you're not able to reach a site you're trying to get to or something like that, we have rules based off of stuff like that. So just be aware of that too.
That's more when people are using like signing into their personal Google, like personal stuff where that comes into play.
Well, it's them signing into BOCES resources through their personal
A lot
devices.
of it's from
Gotcha.
home. So if they're using a personal device at home, or their router is VPNing all their traffic off somewhere, so some of the home use is a lot of times when we see it. So when the people are remote.
Yeah, and everyone's iCloud account now, if you have a paid for iCloud account through Apple, they give it because it is a benefit to have a built-in VPN where it masks your IP. It's actually called, I think, private relay in the iCloud settings that it masks where you're from. So it could think you're, signing in to BOCES from North Carolina, but you're actually in, Westbury. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So that would need to be put in end user language.
Yeah, no, I trust me,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
get that, believe me, but
That's why I work
Please
in
don't-
the
Please don't use the knock and the sock language when
Yes.
you're
No,
talking
no,
to
no,
the
sorry.
end users.
listen, I'll keep checking wires and unplugging things and be pretty smart.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
All right.
All right, thanks for your question. Up next, we have Nazina.
Hi, since you mentioned iCloud, I just have a quick question. Are you still blocking the incoming emails from iCloud?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
No,
No, because you know what? We have quite a few students who have the iCloud accounts, and apparently when they, if they want to communicate with their teachers, they are not, obviously the teachers are not getting.
Unfortunately, a lot of the iCloud, because they gave out a ton of free anonymous emails. Essentially, there's a through Apple that you can anonymize your email address and everything else. Unfortunately, the legitimate people that are using iCloud as their email service we're also getting bombarded by tons of malicious actors and people that are just sending us tons and tons of spam and phishing and all that kind of fun stuff. So essentially, as an agency, we decided that we just can't allow it anymore.
The major
Alright,
problem with the iCloud emails is that there's no verification process to tie a phone number or any type of validating credentials against what you're creating. I can make one, then turn it off, make another one, turn it off. So there's no way that we verify, the validity of who is sending through that. So definitely push, I would say, for them to use a more reputable, email like an Outlook or a Gmail or something like that. That'd be
All right, so at least now it's confirmed, so I can let the districts know when they upload the applications for next year that any students who has an iCloud account, maybe they should change it to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you, Sean, JJ, James, for help. I know I always bother you guys, so thank you so much.
Of course, Nina.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your question. Anybody else have a question? If you would like, you could just unmute or raise your hand. If not, we will go through some quick little updates, things to look out for in the near future, because we do have about 7 minutes left, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Okay. If you do have a question in the next 7 minutes, please raise your hand and I will definitely get to you as well. But in the meantime, just a few quick be on the lookouts for. Mark, if you could just quickly talk about sensitivity labels, that would be great.
Sure. So we started building out the sensitivity label project a few months ago now, and at this point we've been able to deploy it to all of Lipinski and Farber, and our plan is to eventually push it to the entire organization, so that would touch every adult user's account. Obviously, we don't have plans on making this touch any type of student account or anything like that. Essentially, what we're trying to do with it is create. One piece of it is data siloing on our end, so that we can push this information to where it needs to be, and we're able to look back on it and organize it better for ourselves for retention. Another piece of it is going to be the encryption and what our grasp is over having this information expire or not. So essentially, what we've created 3 labels at this point, and it's general, confidential, and highly confidential. So if this hasn't been pushed to you already, the way that it's essentially going to work is every email will be baselined with the general tag, which will do nothing for the email. And then you as the end user will have the option of applying the confidential or the highly confidential tag, which in turn will either encrypt the message, and at the highly confidential level, it will encrypt the message and also not allow the person that you've sent the message to forward that message off to anybody else. So we're just trying to put some barriers in place and create, some type of structure here for what we send out, to protect our internal information from escaping maybe to actors that we don't want to have it. So if you haven't received that training, you're going to be getting it shortly. And if you have, I'm sure Teresa's put up the videos that we've recorded online if you need to refresh yourself with it. And just try to use it. Right now, it's in a stage where you guys are the ones that choose whether or not it gets applied. But our goal is ultimately to turn on automation, which in the future will automatically apply it. And then you will have to provide a justification as to why you want to either change the label or remove it. So, just try to get used to it. And if you have any questions about it, just feel free and reach out and we'll try to clarify it for you.
Yep, perfect. Thanks, Mark. So again, just to piggyback off what he said, we're kind of slowly rolling this out so that we can train on what this means and what it means to you and how you're going to use it. So we'll be rolling out these sensitivity labels, which will be applied to emails and files that are leaving our domain, so externally, in order to keep our data safe. It's really not necessarily used internally, so from staff member to staff member, but it can be as well. So be on the lookout for that training. We're working in small kind of groups to get everyone trained on what it means and how to use it before we roll it out to you. So be on the lookout for that. Quick reminder, new Outlook. I've been sending a lot of my What the Techs on that. My next webinar in January, on January 24th, will be all about new teams and new Outlook. I really want everyone to start playing with it, get used to it. This is not a Nassau BOCES thing. This is a Microsoft update that is coming along. By the end of 2024, new Outlook will be the only Outlook that you will have the ability and access to use, according to Microsoft. Along with sensitivity labels, we're also kind of combining some extra PII, personal and identifiable information training, just as a reminder and a refresher. So that will come along with the sensitivity labels. Mark or Chris, did you want to add anything to that, or that covers that information?
You kind of summed up everything, I'd say. Again, it's reminding everyone and giving you the tools to, be knowledgeable about the data that you're handling. Everybody's job is a little different, whether it's special ed, RSIP, or HR facilities, whatever you guys are working in. You all are handling different information, whether it's either social security numbers, credit cards, student ID numbers, all that stuff. So it's just to be cognizant of what you guys are handling and how you're handling it and who you're sending it to. And if you are sending it to someone, are you taking the right safety steps? So that's what all this is all about.
Yep, absolutely. And we're here to support you on that. We know that you do the GCN training every year, but that's a requirement that most of us, we're just click, click, click. But sometimes we don't understand exactly what that information is telling us. And, we feel like we have to have some refreshers along the way throughout the year, so people can really understand what all of that means and how it affects our organization and the safety of it. We also sent out a Nassau BOCES best practices with the tech video on spam and phishing emails and how to detect them. The SOC team does send out test phishing emails, so be on the lookout for those. They are really good, like really, really good. They're meant to trick you, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And then Windows 11 and new Teams update. Nick, would you want to take that real quick, just as like a teaser or a heads up?
Oh, we're going to be probably rolling out Windows 11 in the spring, we were saying. That's going to be an update, just like any security update you get, except it's going to be the new version of Windows, which most of you probably already have at home if you have, bought a laptop in the past couple of years. That will happen just one day. You'll come in, you'll have Windows 11. Is everybody in your office going to have the same update at the same time? Probably not, because it's going to happen on a rollout basis that when your computer checks in and sees that it's supposed to get that update, it will get it. And that's probably the best way I can put that. It's not going to be tomorrow blanket, everyone has it. So.
Yep, absolutely. So be on the lookout. Windows 11 and new teams will come together as an update on your devices in the spring. We will do a ton of training, and I will send out a ton of What the Tech videos and have some webinars again on just getting you ready for this before it's pushed out. But Microsoft rollouts, even if they're pushed through our team, still come out on a rolling basis. So you won't all have the new things all on the same day, unfortunately. But, you know, a few days here and there, and you'll start to see everyone having those updates. So be on the lookout for that in the spring. We don't have exact dates. We're thinking around April break, but more to come on that. We just wanted to give you a teaser.
And yes, Jonathan asked if everybody, students, yes, every laptop and desktop that supports 11 and is managed by Nassau BOCES will get the update. There are, in some of the schools, as far as instructionally, there's some machines that we found that won't support 11, and will just continue to get Windows 10 security updates, but eventually will be phased out and replaced with newer hardware that supports it. So that's how we're going to be doing this.
And just to end with just be on the lookout for Nassau BOCES best practices with the tech video on our Wi-Fi, how to join it for a guest, how to join it on your phone. I'm working with the customer care team to develop a video that will go out when we return from the break, so that you have a resource to share amongst your staff, yourself, new users, guest users. A lot of people will get new cell phones over the break. They will have to re-authenticate. When you get a new phone, you have to re-authenticate. It's like starting over. So we want to make sure everybody has that process in a video that they can refer to. So it will also live on my page of the website. But again, it is 1 o'clock. That ends our first AMA Ask Me Anything session with Tech Services team, IT and customer care. Thank you all so much for joining us. Next session will be, yeah, Nick has his hand up, 1 sec. Next session will be coming March 27th with this awesome team in front of you. So please look out for the link to register for that. Spread the word so that, you know, more people join in and see that they're not so scary, you know, and they'll answer all your questions. Nick.
Yes.
Are you saying bye, or you just had your
Yeah,
hand
I'm
up?
saying bye.
Okay. Well, again, thank you all for joining. Have a happy holidays and a happy new year.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.